Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I pulled out both of the Melody Beatty books, and I was kind of just like skimming through the meditations to see which ones I wanted to read. And the one from The Language of Letting Go is called Commitment for today. And then I opened the Journey to the Heart, and today's is called Open Your Heart. And I started reading the first few sentences, and I thought, oh, I really like this. Like, I want to read more about this meditation and what it's about. So I think I'm going to read the Journey to the Heart one first. Open Your Heart, May 30th. She laughed so much, she made me giggle. Do you laugh and smile all the time, I asked the woman. Are you this happy all the time? My heart is open and healed, she said. I laugh a lot, but I cry a lot too. An open heart feels all it needs to feel. Cry when it hurts. At the end of your tears, you will see more clearly. Tears clear our eyes and our heart. Cry whenever you need to. Laugh often as you can. Laugh with friends. Laugh out loud. The discoveries, the growth, the insights, the closeness, the sharing, the learning don't have to be such serious, somber events. Truth is discovered most often in laughter. Bonds are formed. Love becomes unveiled. Cry a lot. Laugh a lot. Let life reveal its mysteries to you. Let love find you. Course through you. Touch all you meet through your laughter and tears. The fortunate person is not the one who wins the lottery. That's luck. We find fortune when we open our hearts and learn the secret of life. Laughter and tears are the signs of an open heart. Wow, I really love this meditation. And it reminds me of a conversation that I was having just recently with a friend of mine. I have a friend of mine who is, she's really, really struggling and is not happy in her job whatsoever. And so we were talking on the phone, and like I could tell that she was like on the verge of crying, right? And she was talking about this job, and I said to her, I said, can I give you a bit of an unsolicited advice? And she said, please do not tell me to leave my job. She said, you know, everybody keeps on telling me I need to leave my job. She's like, I think people don't understand that financially I need this job, and I've decided to stick it out to a certain point, and blah, 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 whatever. And she was like, I just, you know, I can't hear one more person tell me, please leave your job. And I said, I wasn't going to tell you that. I said, I'm proud of you for sticking it out. You know, I'm proud of you for making a commitment and saying, you know, like I'm going to, because she has set a goal of I'm going to stay until a certain point if things don't change, which I was always taught by I was taught this by somebody that I used to work with. You know, set a goal for yourself of 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 years, 6 months, whatever. And, you know, circle that date on the calendar and say to yourself, I'm going to give this, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a work environment, a job, whatever, everything I possibly can by this date. And then if nothing has changed by that date and I've given it everything that I can, then it's time for me to get out. And that's what my friend has done. And I said to her, no, I wasn't going to tell you to leave your job. I said, but I can tell that you're like on the verge of tears. And I said, what I was going to tell you was cry if you need to cry, let it out. And she just burst out crying. And she said, I feel like I'm having on the verge of a, you know, nervous breakdown. And I said, well, sweetie, what's going on? And so she was telling me about all this different stuff that was going on. And she was, you know, crying through the whole thing. And I just kind of sat there and I just like listened to her, which in my life, to be honest with you, I'm so grateful for all of the friends and family and my husband and everybody that I've had, my sponsor, that have just listened on the other end of the phone or listened to me, you know, as I'm sitting there talking to them and let me cry and let me just vent and go on and on and on about stuff, right? Because for me, I always feel so much better when I get that stuff out. Like sometimes it isn't so much about the fixing of the problem as it is just the getting it out and the vocalizing it, you know, and the making it real and talking about it, because I feel like I just like kept it down so much inside, you know? And so, in fact, when I was going over my fear inventory with my sponsor, at the end of each fear that I would talk about, my sponsor would say, and how are you managing that? And I would say, well, I just act like it's not going on, like I just push it down. And she would say, how is that working for you? And what I realized was that is how I manage most of my fears in my life, is that I just push them down and I act like they're not there, right? Which was where I had to start taking a look at that and saying, okay, if you want this fear to go away, you have to deal with it in a different way. One of the ways that I deal with my fear today, since doing that inventory, is looking at it straight in the face and saying, okay, what am I really afraid of? Like, what do I really need to deal with here, right? So I was talking to my friend, and, you know, she just is like going on, and she's crying, and she's very upset, and I felt so bad for her. And all of a sudden, she just kind of like like took this deep breath, right? And she said, she started laughing and she said, I feel so much better. She said, thank you so much for listening to me. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't done anything, okay? I just was sitting on the phone, sitting there listening to her as she was going on and on and on about, you know, like how upset she was and blah, blah, blah on this job. And she felt like she was having a nervous breakdown because she couldn't do this and she couldn't keep this on track and all this kind of stuff. And I just sat there and listened to her. And what I realized in that moment, like I said, was how grateful I was for all of the people that have been there for me and listened to me through the years, because they didn't fix anything, you know? I can remember talking to a friend of mine years ago, and this is when it kind of like switched for me. He said something to me, and I've had these conversations with other people as well, like where I've said this back to him, but I used to be such, you know, a problem solver, such a fixer. And so this was, I mean, probably in like my late 20s. He was saying something to me, and I said, have you thought about this? And he thought about that. And he goes, you know, sometimes I don't always want solutions to my problems. Sometimes I just want a friend to listen to me of what's going on. And I can remember hearing that. It was like a brick in my face. I was kind of like, oh, wow. Like, okay, I need to just listen and be an active listener, you know? And it was so powerful to me because nobody had really said that to me before. And at that moment was when I really started listening, you know? It's funny because my old supervisor, when I worked in treatment, I would go into her office and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm having like such a crazy day and this happened to me in my personal life and that happened and whatever. And I would sit there for like 10 minutes and I would just vent. She'd say, And I would stop and I'd be like, oh, just like my friend did on the phone. And I'd say, you are such a great supervisor. Like, you know exactly what I need. And she'd always look over at me and she'd say, Peter, I just know that you need to come in here and vent. And like, once you get it off your chest, you're completely fine. I'd be like, God, you're so right. You're so good at what you do. You're so smart. You know, but it was so true. Like, I just needed to vent. I just needed to get it off my chest and say, like, this is what's going on with me. It really, like, most of it wasn't really that deep. And I didn't need a fix to it. And I didn't need someone to come in and problem solve it. I just needed to talk about what was going on, you know, and just get it off my chest and say, like, you know, like, I'm scared about this, or I don't know how to deal with this, or whatever, you know. And just like my friend said to me the other day, and we started laughing on the phone. I said, what are you laughing at? And she goes, just the ridiculousness of all of it. And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, I have a fantastic husband. I have a fantastic, you know, marriage. I have fantastic kids. I have a beautiful home. She's like, and so this job sucks right now. And she goes, and you know what? It'll either get better or it'll get worse and I'll leave when my time comes. She said, but it's going to take care of itself. And she's like, you just helped me realize that. And I was like, I didn't do anything, you know? But I really think for me, what it made me realize was that I need to be a better listener to people in my life. I need to be able to be present and be an active listener for people. I mean, that is one of the most vital lessons that Alex and I have learned in marriage counseling. And like where our counselor, we do these ridiculous questions where he'll ask one of us a question. It's like he printed them off online, couples questions. He'll ask one of us a question. The other person has to just sit there and listen. And they're not even sometimes really to do with us. It'll be like, you know, what was your proudest moment in your life or something like that. And then the other person answers it and the other person just has to sit there and listen. So I think like one of the greatest lessons I've learned is the importance of being an active listener. But the other thing I've learned is that I really need people in my life that are able to be active listeners as well. Because when I'm surrounded and I'm surrounding myself with people that are problem solvers, it's a lot. It can become overwhelming when it's like, well, you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do this, and it's like too much. Like it's too much. I don't know what to do in that moment, right? Like I feel overwhelmed. Sometimes I just need to get it out and I just need to say it, you know, and that's why I've also learned today, you know, like I ask for help. Like if I need something from somebody, I'll say, can you give me a suggestion or can you give me advice from this? But if I don't ask for it, like, you know, it's like, there's a lot of problem solvers out there, but I don't have a lot in my life today. I really don't. I have a lot of people that allow me just to vent. And I've also realized that I don't need to vent as much as I used to, you know? And today I vent in the forms of, you know, prayer, meditation, and journaling and things like that. And I don't necessarily need to always go to somebody, you know, and just ramble on and on and on about what's going on. But I'm thankful that at the times that I did need to do that, there were people there, and I want to be that for other people as well. So anyway, great meditation. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.